the Planet Rock Podcast, the hottest show in the cosmos. Get ready for insight and inspiration right here on Planet Rock with your special guest, Joshua P.K. White, and your cosmic guide through our ever-changing space and time. I'm your host, Raquel Herring.
Welcome back to the Planet Rock Podcast, the hottest show in the cosmos, and your go-to spot for all things relationships, personal growth, and navigating life's twists and turns. From the depths of dating and marital dynamics to the heights of spiritual journeys, entrepreneurship, money, pets, plants, we explore every facet of human connection. I'm Raquel Herring, your cosmic guide on this wild called life. Each episode of Planet Rock is packed with insights and inspiration to help you thrive in this ever-changing world. From heartwarming stories to candid conversations, we're here to empower you and uplift your spirits. Tune in every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time on envision-radio.com, where praise meets talk for some real talk, real people goodness. And don't forget to catch the premiere video replay on YouTube every Saturday. And remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with our latest episodes. Follow me on social media for updates and swing by my website at raquelherring.com to stay connected. Relax, settle in, and let's rock your world one relationship at a time, right here on Planet Rock. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Planet Rock. Today, we are so just grateful to have the true dynamo in the music industry from my hometown. Joshua P.K. White has come back to drop some more music business gems, talk about the Lord, and just how he has just been flourishing and just being so successful in the gospel music and just music in general. Okay, let me tell you though about PK, better known as DJ PK, is a minister, music producer, and speaker dedicated to empowering youth and fostering unity through gospel music. Since 1999, DJ PK has been preaching and teaching God's word to the youth and artists. As a BMI songwriter, he has crafted hits for numerous gospel artists and has served as a DJ for WMBM 1490 AM, whoop whoop, and Strong Arm Radio Online. But his influence doesn't stop there. DJ PK is also a music consultant, independent performer, and CEO of J. White Enterprise, overseeing a thriving music production and consulting business. In addition to his musical talents, DJ PK was the executive director of the Hip Hop Gospel Industry Network in Fort Lauderdale, Broward County chapter from 2021 to 2023. He has leveraged his multifaceted skills as a music producer, TV host, radio announcer, motivational speaker, and music consultant to make a significant impact in the industry. Thank you, DJ PK, for joining us today. We're going to dive into it, hear his passion for empowering the next generation and his vision of the future of gospel music. Thank you, PK. Thank you for coming back. We appreciate you.
Always, family. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to continue to sharing testimonies, always empowering other people, because it's all about the next generation. It's all about that.
Yes. Thank you so much. It is about empowering them. They're coming up. They got to know. Navigate this entertainment business, this music business for sure. So last time we left off, I was like, give inspiration. I had to hurry up, right? So I was like, no, this is crazy. I mean, we got to talk more about it. And I want to talk about the fair use, like those fair use agreements, because sometimes I see them like on YouTube when it's about the music or, just fair use. Explain what that is Explain why we need to know it. And as artists, producers, how do we go about utilizing it?
Well, you said that key word, agreements. Everything that we do in this music business, there should be an agreement. So if you haven't received a letter from a publishing company, or if you haven't created a contract and submitted your song to a publishing company and don't have an agreement, there is no fair use. So fair music in use is only utilized and accepted when there is an agreement between two parties. So I
Mm.
that's what I know, and I encourage artists as we produce music, as you want to use music on YouTube. You must submit in for a letter of intent to use a particular artist song on a
Mm.
platform, and once you have an agreement, then most agreements you nowadays too are created between both parties. YouTube, once when you start creating things on YouTube, there are certain boxes you have to check inside the YouTube account when you create a YouTube account. Each YouTube
Mhm.
account allows you to create certain things, and it comes with certain features that you will literally have to select and agree to their legal terms. So everything is agreements. So just know that if you haven't had an agreement with the other party, and you're soliciting music or you're posting music with other people on it, that's not fair use. Fair use of music is when you have an agreement from
Mm.
between you and other artists, and they have signed something and they've given you permission to use their music on platforms.
Oh, that's good to know. I didn't know that either. I was like, I really didn't understand the concept of the fair use, that you still have to ask for permission to
Yes,
use
yes,
it. Oh,
yes,
that's
yes.
good to know. See, that'll
So
save a lot of people some time.
yeah, if we played a particular song right now, just any record right now on this
Yeah.
podcast, and it's playing, and it got views and things like that, we would get flagged for it. They would say, "Hey, do you have permission to use this music?" And most of the times, either the publishing company or YouTube, or even if that artist may reach out to whoever ever is using the music and saying, "Hey, if you're gonna use my music, I'm gonna send you a licensing fee that you have to pay," or they may just flag you and take it down, but they're going
Mm.
to ask the publishing company. They're going to send me a letter or an email. I'm going to get an email, or the artist is going to get an email asking us, do you want us to take down this song that's being played on YouTube or on Facebook? And we have the right to say yes or no, or we can reach out to the party and say, hey, I see that you got a podcast. I love what you're doing, but I recognize you have my song, and
Mm.
this is what I'm requiring if you want to continue using it as your jingle or whatever it may be.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I see.
Mhm. And
So
how you say, most times artists don't get flagged, especially when they're sampling music. And that's another area, the sampling world. I come from a lot of producers and beat makers sample certain songs from other people's records, and I let them know, hey, you got to be mindful of what you're sampling.
right.
We got to first record the record. We have to first record the record and then send it to the publishing company and submit the song to them, and then we have to wait and allow them to give us permission, because if we release that song on the album, most of the time they're not going to mess with you. But if you start selling a lot of records, or if that song get a lot of attention, oh, you
Right.
guarantee you're going to get an email, or you're going to get a lawyer, or someone is going to reach out to you, and they're going to say, hey, you've been playing our song, we've been noticing all the downloads and everything, and we want to recoup all of that money
That's
that
right.
you put into that song out without our permission.
Guaranteed you gonna hear about it.
So
Yes.
artists, submit your letters, take the time out, get in touch with the publishing companies. There, all the information is online. If you type in any particular artist or anything like that, their publishing companies are all companies are out there. Handle your business. Take care of yourself when you're doing this thing.
Yeah, I like how you said that. Even like on the first episode, our first interview together, you're like, handle your business. Okay.
Yes.
Like you gotta do it. I know we talked about this on the first one. Just to give, I want people to go back and listen, but just to give like a little like summary of copyright. Like what is it? And
Mhm.
how does it work these days now? Because we learned something different in the other one, but we don't want to give all the information away because we want them to go, but we want to touch on it. So this audience who hasn't heard, some people who may have not heard that, can get a little idea of the copyright and why it's important.
Well, copyrights is just the right to protect what you own. So a simple copyright could be you recording yourself saying something on the phone, you writing particular lyrics down on the paper. The minute you do that, when you enter a recording session and you're recording your song on Pro Tools, that is your copyright. That is the simplest way of copying and owning your material. And what we have to do is always, I tell artists all the time, if you can record an audio on your phone, remember your iPhone is keeping the actual date and time
Mhm.
that you created it, all your information in your Pro Tools session. That is for the record labels. Key thing is that Pro Tools session is the actual masters. So I always encourage artists, if you go into a recording studio and you record your song and you page an engineer to record your song, after you finish your song, you want to put it on your hard drive and do
Mhm.
not leave it on their computer, because if you do that, they have the masters to your song. If you want to keep the copyrights, you want to download it to your hard drive and delete it off their computer. All those things play a huge role when you're saving your information, and that's what it is. You want to own the rights to what you made. All right?
That's great information. That's for anything. That's software,
Mhm.
whatever you're doing. Get it
Mhm.
onto your computer if you're using someone else's, using their apps or whatever. Get it onto your computer. Make sure
Mhm.
you have the master copy to it. The master, not the
Mhm.
copy, the master to it.
Master copy. Hmm.
Yes. How do you handle situations where your work might be used without proper authorization?
Well, everything that I do, like I said from the beginning, when we finish our sessions, we go
Yes.
into our split sheets, publishing. Um, a lot of the things that when I put music out, it's constantly being tracked. So if I get an email or if anybody put anything on TikTok and things like that, I've already given permission for certain records that are already out that they can
Okay.
utilize, because I've set it in stone already to where I get a percentage off of the commercials, off of the songs that they're using and things like that. So the way the system, that's the key thing, you protect yourself by having a system. If
Hmm.
you have a system in place, anytime anybody register their songs with DistroKid, TuneCore, any of CD Baby, all these different platforms, there is a ID that goes to each song that you register, and anytime your song come up, they'll get flagged. Or if you already have the system in place, it'll let them know that there's a percentage that's going to go toward this particular publishing company and or this artist, because of you using their music on YouTube or on Facebook at your church or whatever the case may be.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. Technology is keeping up
Yes.
with everything.
Yes.
And just
Technology
imagine
is
it,
really picking up.
yeah, and they moved to blockchain, everything is like recorded on that for sure, and it never goes anywhere. So,
I'm hoping they hurry up and fix the money situation as far as Spotify streaming
yeah.
online, which we call mechanical rights. That right now is, like I said, it's paying pennies.
Mm,
The real money is always in the publishing. The real money is always in the live performing shows, artists having products on deck. That's literally where the real money, in my opinion, that I've seen generate for artists. Having the mindset not to just be behind the microphone in the studio, but be bigger than just a singer and a rapper. Learn how to communicate with your community. Go out and speak at
mm,
engagements, host events, do anything that allows your brand to be seen, that brings a
mm.
positive impact to the world.
That's good. Can you please repeat that one more time?
One of the things that you don't want to be an artist that just stands behind the microphone, but you want to be an artist that have the mindset to brand yourself in all areas, as far as speaking, as far as taking your products, having different ways of how knowing how to connect with your audience, empowering them, not just behind the microphone, but literally being in a place to where they can relate to you. You can relate to them, and just really, it's really all about connection. People want to have an experience.
Mm,
I've always learned is that people, if you can get people to fall in love with you, and not just your
mhm.
music, but if you can get them to fall in love with you, then no matter what you do, they're going to support you. They're going to become your fans because it's not about your music. It's the fact that what you said or what you're doing is really impacting and help
Mm,
shape them to become the man or woman that God wants them to be. So it's like when you start walking in that mindset as an artist, that
yeah,
literally changes the game. So if you decide that, hey, I don't want to do music no more, I want to go over here and sell books, that same
right.
audience that was with you with your music, they're going to go over there and start buying your books because they're connected to you now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. And I know like connection is so different now than it was in the past, like because you
Hmm.
got the social media. And it's
Hmm.
like, do you feel like with the social media, maybe the audience is demanding more of you, more of that personal from you, as opposed to before, because it wasn't even really like that, because you didn't have the option. You didn't
Right.
have the social media. So how do you think that's like, are they demanding more?
Yeah, I believe the audience is always going to demand more from you, but you have to know exactly what you want and where you're going.
Mhm.
Your key thing in the music business is going to always be in staying focused because sometimes social media can be a distraction. So you don't want social media to become the master. You want to remain the master.
Right.
And whatever you don't allow, if you don't remain the master, now you become the slave to social media. And that's what you don't want to do
Mhm.
because one minute they'll want you doing this, they'll want you doing that. One minute they want to see you with your family, the next minute they don't want to see you with your family. So you don't want to get caught in that roller coaster, but you want to
Right.
remain focused. And a lot of times I let artists know before we start off, let's define and decide what we're going to use Facebook for, what we're going to use social media Instagram for, what we're going to use TikTok
Mm.
for. You may want to show your kids on Facebook, and your Instagram may be all about what you're doing inside the studio and what you're doing on concerts, and that's all they see on that platform. Well, once you define and start branding yourself to that, you want to stay focused and maintain that. So if people want to see you in a different light, they know to go to that page. But when they come to your
Mm.
Instagram, they get to see you in the studio, you behind scenes, and everything has to be focused. Everything has to be balanced because right now you're probably at a, and most artists who are starting out, you're at a stage right now that you have to really brand yourself and people don't
Mhm.
know you. But if you're throwing so much at them, they're like, I'm trying to figure out who you are. One minute you're sad, the next minute you're mad, the next minute you're happy, and it's like you want to try to maintain something about yourself that people can
Mhm.
connect with you. And once they connect with you, they'll find the other pages where they can see who your kids are and they can see you on vacation and all those other things.
That's good. Yeah, because each platform is different. And
Yes.
it seems like you can like put the same post or what you're doing across all platforms, but that's really not the case. You really, like you
Yes.
said, you have to focus on how you're going to use each platform.
Yes.
Whew, and then
Yes.
it's so many.
Yes, it's so many, and you're trying to build what we call influence. A
Yeah,
lot of people who have influence, once you, how you say, have branded yourself and you have a level of influence, people will go wherever you go. So
right.
and they'll listen to what you're saying and your music and how you're doing certain things, and that's when I say, hey, once you get to that point and you're comfortable and you're confident, maybe you do want to show your Instagram artist fans who your kids are and all these different things, and they don't mind it. And if somebody say anything negative, it doesn't bother you because you're confident in what you're doing. So
Hmm.
there's those different aspects and perspectives, but you the artist will know that as you continue to grow on your journey, because there are going to become times where, like I said, you may have to reinvent yourself. You may have to show a different element to yourself, but
Right.
it's all about knowing how to make that shift and doing it at the right time.
Yes. Now, you have talked about your faith.
Hmm.
Well, first, before we move on, is there anything about the business that you wish I had asked? You anticipated me asking, and I haven't asked it yet.
No, well, the I would say just the elements of artists taking the time out to focus on their spiritual life. I
Hmm.
think that's a key thing in this music business. Having a sense of understanding how to pray,
Yeah.
understanding how to keep positive people in your life. To me, all these things play an element. What books you read,
Hmm.
It's 90% business and 10% music. I
Right.
mean, 90%
Facts.
business and 10% music. Yeah, I think if you take that and you apply those things, I know your music career will definitely continue to change, because now you'll be able to really. I think a lot of artists got the rapping, the singing, and going to the studio down pack, and they're doing all those things. But it's the other part that's killing a lot of artists, to where since they're not seeing any results, which is maybe finances or opportunities, not knowing it's because of the fact that you have yet to get the knowledge and understanding and wisdom about what you're doing, so that you
Hmm.
could be more effective when you put the music out.
Yeah. And especially again in this current climate with the social media, because
Yeah,
I think like maybe people who started early, you didn't like really grow up with the social media.
yeah,
And before, again, we didn't have like total hands on to people like you have now. You
right,
weren't sharing so much personal information, so much of yourself like
right.
we're sharing now, or that's being demanded now.
Hmm.
So that has to now create that balance, strategy. It's a lot that goes into it because the social media and so many different platforms, like, you mentioned to have a game plan on how
Hmm.
you're going to use each platform.
Hmm. That's
Yeah.
right.
What role does faith, because you talked about it, have in your personal and professional life? I know a lot.
Right, right. Well, in my personal life, I am an ordained minister at the Now Church ministry. My pastor is Pastor Javen Campbell. He's the TBN host for TBN.
Okay.
I've been working and ministering under his leadership for the last 3 years. So having a pastor who's a TV host and a recording artist is a huge, I say, plus and benefit,
Yeah.
serving him there at the ministry. He's taught me so much spiritually wise, and taught me so much business wise. Definitely opening doors and working in the TV networking industry,
Mm,
and meeting new people and meeting major artists. We've always had major conferences, and coming down and having CC, all type of artists coming in the door, working with us, Tim Bowman. So there are so many opportunities that has been open just because of the connection of my faith in God, and where God has brought me in relationship as far as a minister. So I work with youth at our church. I'm the youth minister at my church.
okay.
I'm also working in our community as a minister too. So my life is literally my life, my income, everything is built around my faith. Really, I
Mm,
really love helping people discover their purpose, their identity, and teaching people the simple points of understanding what prayer is, what prayer is not, and really recognizing where God wants you at. Many of us are on a journey, and we're on a different journey. And if we don't understand our assignment in
yeah.
life, life becomes hard. But I truly
Right.
believe that if you can really recognize your assignment, it keeps you from bad relationships. It keeps you from going in the wrong direction. And then it gives you a sense of peace. And I think that is the greatest key to happiness, is having peace. So it doesn't matter what level of income you're at money wise, but if you got peace, you'll be content with where you're at. You will have the open mind to know more, to do more. Work wouldn't seem like it's hard. Like, I enjoy what I do.
That's
So
good.
it doesn't, I literally lose time doing what I do. And it has become a passion. And that's what I kind of push people spiritually wise, is that I believe that God has given everybody a gift, and it's connected to your passion. You just got to discover it, but you have to really position yourself mentally
Hmm.
to really hear from God, because that's the key thing. Most people get in God's presence and they do all the talking. I don't
Right.
believe yet you need to do all the talking. I think before you get in front of a king, you probably want to sit down and just listen to what he got to say.
Right. Because he might know something. Just saying.
Something more than you do.
Let me ask you this. You said a few things in there. And so two, what prayer is and what prayer is not.
Mhm. Prayer is communicating with God, communicating When you think about communicating in any relationship, the key thing that makes a great relationship is a man or woman who knows how to listen.
Mm,
And that's the big thing about prayer is communicating to where, hey, you're able to talk to God, but at the same time, you let Him do the speaking more, that you spend more time hearing from Him. A lot of times you may hear people pray and they do these long 20-minute, 30-minute prayers, which is fine. And then they say amen. But then I always question, since you did all the talking, did you hear anything He said? Because as soon as you finished talking, you said amen. And I said, think about that when you're in a relationship with somebody. If you do all the talking and you never let them speak, did you really have a conversation? And a lot of times that's what we do. And we call
right,
it prayer. And we say amen and we get up. And we really haven't heard anything. And God is like, wait, 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 wait. I want to say something to you. Give me some
right.
time. But if you're thinking about your bills, if you're thinking about your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your mind is like going so fast
Yeah,
it is difficult for you to really hear God. I'm gonna use the example that I always use when I'm talking to kids about prayer. Imagine yourself at a concert and the music is loud. Can you imagine me coming in your ear and speaking in your ear, trying to talk to you while the concert is going on? You're gonna be like, "What? I can't hear what you're saying." I said, "Well, that's what it sounds like when your
mm,
mind is constantly going and God is trying to speak to you. You have to really quiet yourself and stop thinking about your issues and your bills and your problems and telling God all the drama that's going on in your life. Get somewhere and get your mind to get in a position to where you can clear your mind and you can really start thinking about the word of God, or you start allowing yourself to really position yourself to mentally hear from God, because that's the key thing. Prayer is not how you say getting on your knees and doing like this. No, it's a mental thing. So if I'm not able to put my hands together, if I'm in a car getting ready to have a car accident and I say a quick word, that's a prayer. We can't make prayer these things that we see sometimes on pictures,
right.
or oh, they must be praying because they really loud, or they must be praying because this is like, no, 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 no. Don't do that. You want to understand that prayer is a heart thing. Like in your heart, you have to be able to connect with God. So it's not
Mm,
about getting on your knees. It's not about putting your hands together like this and making the symbol. And if you don't do that, you're not praying. Don't
mm,
do those things, because now you are making those things an idol, and you're
mm,
making it seem like anybody can do that. And I say, well, Lucifer can do this too. So listen, you can't label that prayer. What we have to understand what prayer is not, and understand what prayer is. And once you start bringing that balance in life, it makes everything a little more simple. Now you know that when it comes to talking to God, I'm not in competition with my brother or sister. And
right.
you will start creating your own unique way. And God will start creating his unique way of getting your attention. It may be through dreams. God may always come to you through dreams, and you be like, man, I had a dream about something. I get a lot of songs in my dream. So
Mm,
a lot of ways God will communicate with you, but you don't want to limit him to what you think, because Jesus said it's according to your faith. If you believe that the only way God can speak to you, if you do like this, then what you have done is limit God from working in your life through many other ways.
mhm,
You limit him to being that he can use you to come give me a message. If I feel that a woman shouldn't tell me what God says, then that means if God wants to use you to speak to me, I'll never hear the message. Why? Because of my unbelief. I believe
mhm,
that women can't give me a word from God. So my unbelief stops me from hearing God through you. So
mhm.
anything that we create in our minds can hinder God from working. So that's something
Wow,
that's important.
that's good that you said that.
Hmm.
You talked about um oh my gosh. I just had it and I wanted to listen to you, so I was like, okay, it'll come back up.
Hmm.
Business, and you said that your income, it's all connected to
Yes.
your God purpose, to your gospel music and such, and ministering. So how do you balance like business and the
Hmm.
gospel?
Hmm. I balance it by having a team. I balance it by having a manager. I balance it by making sure people respect my time and my schedule.
Hmm.
Everything is literally planned. everything, as far as ministering at the church, as far as the recording studios, and I enable and I delegate other people to oversee studio sessions and things like that. So everything is literally set up in a structure, and didn't happen overnight. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of times that I had where I felt overwhelmed and I had to fly here and I had to go here.
Yeah.
Once I start putting things in place and creating systems and allowing other people to trust, a lot of, for me personally, and this for me personally, I really had to start trusting other people with things that I had started. So once I start something, I would trust other DJs to take other gigs. I would trust
Mm.
other people to start producing certain media segments at the church and all these different
Mhm.
things. I was able to release certain things and
Mhm.
delegate and teach other people. And I think that's the, to me, that is one of the greatest ways of recognizing a good leader, is someone who can enable other people to empower
Yeah.
them and let them do what they need to do and become who they need to become.
Right. Right. In the last show, you talked about starting gospel rap when churches and nobody was checking for it at all, right? And it was difficult to get it accepted, difficult to get in.
Yeah, yeah.
Now it is accepted,
Demonized.
like a lot
Now it's
now.
a huge
It,
acceptance. I'm seeing all type of labels given and working with so many different gospel artists. But I saw this. I literally saw this back then when my father was getting us involved in gospel rap.
mhm.
Another key thing is the fact that my mom was a gospel rapper. So
Oh,
she taught
what?
me, yes, my mom was a gospel rapper and she taught me how to write songs. She took me out of school, my middle school. I was in homeschool for 3 years, and in homeschool, she taught me how to write lyrics. She taught me language arts, all the different things of putting songs and choruses and writing hooks. Really, she was a piano player and an organ player. My dad was a trumpet player, so we had
Wow.
our times of making beats. All the
Okay.
everything when it came to that, my mom was like heavily involved. She bought me my first gospel rap CD, which was Gospel Gangsters, and that was back in the days. She bought me a Christian rap CD. Once I brought that home, she started teaching me certain things of how to put songs and break songs down and understand how to use metaphors and understand what rap means. Rap means rhythm and poetry, and I didn't know that
Oh,
when I was younger. So she taught me what the word rap means. All these different elements were taught to me back then, but at that time, the church were outside of my dead four walls. They were the Pentecostal church, so a lot of the churches that was around us in Liberty City were Baptist,
okay.
Methodist, and I would want to go over there and rap, and they were like, "Oh no, this is demon music and devilish music." Now, mind
Right.
you, back then beats and music was costing $3 to $4, $5,000 a beat. And I didn't
Wow.
have that type of money back then. I did not have
Right.
that type of money at all back then. So we would use the instrumentals from the other artists that were coming out with Puff Daddy and Tupac and all of them were putting out instrumentals. They used to come out on a little CD and you would buy a CD and it would have the instrumental on it. So we would take that and write gospel lyrics and rap it at churches. And boy, they would start getting upset with us and all type of stuff. So I lived in that era to where my problems made me sit back and say, okay, I need to figure out how to make beats so
Mhm.
that I don't be
Mhm.
hindered when I go places and do music, or I won't
Right.
feel condemned or be challenged. So my problem, I didn't look at it as an issue, but more of an opportunity for me to learn the craft. And I
Mm.
started asking questions when I started visiting in Slip and Slide, EKG. I met a guy named Will Covington, who was the manager at EKG Records, who was overseeing and working with other record labels, and he would take me in under his wing. He was my first mentor, Will Covington. He took me in and started teaching me what publishing was, taught me how to work the soundboard, the engineering board, set me at a drum machine and started teaching me how to make beats. So just from that thing of looking at a situation and saying to myself, look, the situation that I'm facing, if I learn this, I can go back and teach my community of gospel rappers.
Mhm.
I can go back and teach my people in my church who have no idea how to break out of this system that we're stuck in of making music but don't know how to get it on the radio.
Yeah.
Nobody knew. Everybody knew the Bible, but nobody knew how to get music on the radio.
Right.
Nobody knew how to put together a concert. Nobody knew how to buy expensive equipment. And mind you,
Mm,
something that's not really expensive is only expensive to people who don't can't afford it. And when I
right.
learned that, I said, you know what, we're gonna fix this financial problem so nothing in life may seem expensive anymore.
So, like, you are giving so much great information. Thank you so much for just being
Of
so
course.
transparent and authentic with sharing your information. I so appreciate it. And I'm sure the listeners do too. Tell us, how do you feel,
Mhm.
believe that music is shaping and influencing our culture?
Well, I truly believe that music is influencing our culture because one of the things I know that where music starts is in the mind of the person, in the
Yeah.
mind of the artist when they're in the studio. I've experienced different type of studio sessions of people creating. Remember, you're talking about a level, a spiritual level. Remember, music is a spiritual thing. So when
Yeah.
we're in the studio, most people are influenced by different other substance. Some people are like myself. We start out with prayer. We create an atmosphere where God can influence us and give us new thoughts and new ideas to come up
Hmm.
with things. So everything is coming from a dimension. Regardless of what people say, we're hearing something coming into our minds.
Hmm.
I truly believe there is another world that is speaking directly to us, giving us notes, giving us lyrics, and everything. So each individual has a responsibility and a role. And that's why I caution young people when they listen to music. A lot of time we can judge things wrong and we say, well, since this person's a gospel artist, it must be right. And since this person's a
Right.
secular artist, then it must be wrong. That's not true at all.
Hmm.
And that's my opinion. I don't believe that's true because I truly believe that God can use anyone. And when you understand how God speaks, you'll understand that God is really looking for unifying, unity, love, joy,
Mm,
peace. Those are the fruits of the spirits, and that's where you want to start from. Is that the music that I'm listening to? Is it causing me to love people? Is it bringing joy in my life? Is it bringing peace in my atmosphere?
mhm.
Is it blocking out fear? Is it allowing me to overcome my situations in life? So there are music you may hear that motivates you. There are music that you're going to hear that if you're going through a situation, those lyrics are going to bring life to you. So the issue and the key thing is really understanding your relationship with God so that when you hear music or you're not so much fascinated on by about picking where it's coming from, but you be more concerned and mindful and saying to yourself, Lord, is this something you want me to listen to? Is this
Yeah.
something you want to connect to? Because you don't know how God wants to move. And that's the key thing I would definitely encourage young people. Be mindful of the music you're listening to because you are listening to what we call a spirit. You're
Yeah.
listening to a certain person ideology of what they believe, and our lives and our mindset is based on pictures. So when you hear music you hear pictures. So it's just like being in a movie. When you're in a movie theaters, but sometimes the sound, it creates a sound that makes your body feel like you could be watching a scary movie, but you know that you're in the movie theaters. But the way the sound vibrates your body, it makes you become afraid. Now, mind you,
Yeah.
you know you inside the movie theaters. You can physically see the screen. You got friends sitting next to you, but the sound, the vibration, the images that are hitting your mind, your eyes, and touching your brain, it's making you imagine yourself in that scene. Well, that's
Right.
how powerful music can do. It takes you to
Wow.
another dimension. It can make your physically body get sick. The weird music you hear can make your physically body get sick. What we call crunk music, it can make you get hyped. If you feeling down and you hear a certain record, it may make you want to fight. It may make you a certain song may make you think about your grandma who you lost long time ago. You could be
Hmm.
having a good time, but as soon as that record come on, your body just goes back to that moment of that homegoing.
Yeah.
You just start crying. You can't even control it. That's because it's a spiritual thing that is happening in that moment. Whereas a music producer,
Hmm.
when you understand that, you have to be very mindful. You because you become what we call the Pied Piper, to where whatever you play, people are following that sound.
Right.
And one of the greatest things I've learned about music It is the only thing that God made that wasn't made on earth. Sound was
Mm.
started, and if you read the Bible, it was started in heaven. So before earth was ever made, there were angels in heaven singing. Music was
Yes.
there. So that what makes music so powerful, because it wasn't created here. So that means music can go and influence, touch the heart of a person, can make scientists have realized that if a person is in a coma, if you play certain music, it start healing the body. Spiritual people in different countries and Africa and all, they understand the power of sound and even dancing,
Mhm.
movement. All these things play a huge
Mm.
role. We can go deep, but if you just understand the surface, it allows you to say to yourself, look, I need to be mindful of what I listen to, because if I
Mhm.
really care about where I'm going in life, the music that I listen to plays a part too.
Yes. I like when you said that, that influence is going to come from one entity or the other,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Because some people
yes,
will be like, "Oh no, that's just me," but
right.
no one really wants to say a lot of times that you're being influenced by, that one
Yeah.
that's not good, and then you're
Hmm.
being influenced by God. It's not just our thoughts. We
Right.
are constantly interjected, constantly bombarded with thoughts, and a lot of them, coming from someplace else, and we got to get back focused on, God's word and what He has to say and what He has for us.
Yeah, and it's important that if you can get to a point to where, I love using this word, if you can get to a point to where you can brainwash yourself, and I say that in the sense of, I'm mindful of the music I choose. I'm mindful of the movies I
Mhm.
watch. I'm
Yeah.
mindful of the time I spend. Whatever I'm doing, I start positioning myself, and make my life pattern around
Mhm.
certain things. Like if it has nothing to do with helping me get closer to my business, helping me get closer to my relationship, I don't entertain it. And
Mhm.
you can literally create your world because of the things that you present to your eyes and to your ears. And that's
Mhm.
what I've learned. Life is just a mirror. So what you stare at is what you become. So I try to get young people to stare at things you want to become. I've even taken young people out to places like looking at Rolls Royces, and
Mm.
going to different studios and seeing the different fascinating, taking them areas out of the hood into seeing bigger homes, letting them know that there's
Mm.
more to life than where you're living in your apartment. Because if
Yeah.
that's all you see, or if that's all you know, then life will keep giving it to you. But if you can take a person and get them out in the environment and let their eyes see things different and let their ears hear different things, then now they start believing in the possibility. And that's just the first step. Once they start believing, they're going to start taking action. And then that's when life really starts to change, because you
Yes.
change
Yes.
what you focus on now.
Yes. So when you're working with the youth, this is like the information you give them. You just like
Yeah.
filling them up
And
with
we
this
we
good
take these field
information.
trips. I get them out of their element and just really prepare them for life. When you're
Mhm.
talking about youth, you're talking about middle school, high school,
Mm.
and you start talking about finances. That's a key thing. I think every parent should be sitting down with their child, talking about finances,
Mm.
talking about what is the family's goal and vision for the family. Where do you see yourself? Asking them questions. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years? Because you
Yeah.
can't stop time. So let's think about, what do you want to do before you walk across that stage, and after you get your diploma. Where do you would like to go? What is that passion? What are you passionate about? Because really, whatever you're supposed to be doing the next 5 years, with technology and life itself, you can start right now. You can start cutting hair right now and making
Right.
money. All those
Right.
young people in your school can start coming to you. You can start doing hair. You can start sewing. Everything life, the way things is set up now, you can get involved right now. And that's the key thing, is really getting young people to get involved with their purpose and their passion and their assignment, so that it just literally, it doesn't stop problems from happening. It doesn't stop circumstances, but it gives you solutions. It gives you a
Mhm.
peace of mind, and it destroys that key word, ignorance, and it
Yes.
destroys fear. Once you give a person knowledge and they start walking in it, they are no longer bound by fear, and they're no longer bound by ignorance anymore.
Right, right. And on that, then, what advice would you give to the aspiring gospel artists and producers looking to make their mark in the industry?
If you're looking to make your mark in the industry, I would say have a godly character.
Mm,
A godly character. If you can be one person on and off the screen, on and off the stage, people meeting you places, when people go to your social media page, have a godly character, because to me that is the key for your music career to have longevity. No one wants to be around a person who's arrogant, nasty attitude, don't
hmm
know how to respect people. So I I think it's easy to learn how to do the music. It may be a little challenge when you're doing the music business and getting opportunities. But one thing I know that will close all doors is having a bad attitude and having a
mm,
bad character, and your name is your value. If you can make sure and protect your name, don't compromise. Protect your name, because it's your name that's going to give you longevity in this industry.
uh-huh. Protect your name,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
goes with the character.
When people hear your name, they should smile. And if they don't, you better be mindful of that.
Yeah. Can you share any upcoming projects or collaborations that you have going on that you're excited about?
Well, I'm truly excited about the artists that I'm working with and pushing right now. Definitely check out gospel recording artist Otis Kemp. He's been hitting the Billboard charts right now in gospel music. I've been working with him. I'm also working with another artist by the name of Little Luke. He's only 8 years old, and he's getting
Mm,
ready to drop his album. He's just dropped a single and music video. His name is Lil Luke. So a lot of the artists that I'm working with now, and I'm also getting ready to push some things with my pastor. He's getting ready to drop more singles now, Pastor Javen Campbell. So check out his music. A lot of artists, you may see me on social media. I'm hands on in the music business with them. I'm also hands on working with them, putting performing in live shows and things like that. So those are the artists I definitely want to put out right now,
okay.
that I'm working with closely, that has recent material. Behind closed doors, I'm always inside the studio with record labels, working with their artists, making sure all their publishing and things is taken care of. And I'm going to continue throughout this year, creating more seminars, and definitely creating opportunities to connect with people like yourself, beautiful people who are giving me the opportunity to get on the platforms and connect with them to help just spread the message of the good news, of the gospel, and at the same time let them know about the music business. So I appreciate the love. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Can you share your personal practices or routines that help you stay grounded and focused?
Well, my daily time at 6 a.m. prayer. Prayer, getting up at 6 a.m., prayer and meditation at 6 a.m. in the morning before I start my day. And I also do it again at 6 p.m. And that's something I do daily, except for Sundays. But every day, I'm doing that. Also, I don't take any, how you say, business calls or personal calls before 10 a.m. Like literally, if people got issues or questions, I say after 10 a.m., you can call me. But that window between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., I really, really, really like to hear a lot of positive music. I really like to focus on my schedule and my planning. I really want to protect my thoughts and my ideas in that time frame. Those are things I do daily, and really, really continue to connect with my church ministry. There's a lot of things that go on throughout the week. That's one area I will not compromise. You may see me doing a lot of things during the week, on with music businesses and people, but my relationship with my church ministry,
Mhm.
serving my pastor and my mentors that I have in my life is a true commitment, because I feel like that's what the blessing is when you continue to stay connected and rooted and with the right people.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for
Of
coming on
course,
again. Thank you for dropping some more gems. We certainly
anytime.
appreciate having you. I hope you come back because I'm sure we're going to have more questions, business
Yes,
questions that I'd love for you to come back again.
of course, of course. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And where can people reach you? One more time.
You can definitely, if you like to book me or set any consultation, you can email me at joshuapkwhite@gmail.com. If you would like to follow me and support me on my pages on Facebook, you can find me on Facebook at Joshua PK White or on Instagram at jwhite4life.
Thank you. You guys heard it here on the Planet Rock podcast. Got all this information about the music business, got you some good inspiration about the Lord and having a relationship with him and just being on the right track of finding your purpose. You guys know how to reach out to Joshua. Thank you so much for coming to listen to the Planet Rock podcast. You could have been anyplace else, but you chose to be here with us. Thank you so much. And we look forward to you listening next week.
What an awesome show full of insight and inspiration. Thank you to our guests and listeners. Look forward to hearing us next week on envision-radio.com at 12 noon, right here on Planet Rock.